What's going on, guys? Tower number 9 here, and today we are going to be commentating the third round of Showdown Poznan. And this time we have a match between Mikolaj on the left, who is playing Command Boba, and Piotrek on the right, who is playing Command Sabine. My apologies if I get any of the pronunciations of these names or places wrong. I do not speak Polish. And yeah, let's get going. So this is typically a matchup that I think favors Boba. So in the classic aggro mid-range control triangle, Boba is a mid-range deck and favored against aggro. We are going to be incidentally looking at this at 1.25x speed. Um, After the previous one of these, what seemed a little slow, so nice handshake there to start off the game. The player's resourcing. Mikolaj has won the roll to determine who gets to go first and has the initiative. So I see in hand there, I believe I see a copy of the Consortium Star Viper. That is a really key card in this matchup because it can basically lock down the space arena. Um, if the Sabine player plays an A-Wing or a Red 3, something like that, and does not get the chance to buff it with a Wing Leader or with Metal Ceremony, the Boba player can ambush in Consortium Star Viper and defeat that unit, potentially restore as well, and then have a unit in position that can trade with another Rebel Space unit, which is a very difficult hurdle for the Sabine player to overcome. Um, so leading off there, I believe that is an organized play kit Greedo as the first card played there. I'm gonna turn down this mic a bit. I'm not using my normal setup, as you may be able to tell by the weird lighting. So my apologies for the overly loud sound in the early part of this video. Should be corrected now. So yeah, we do have the Green Squadron A-Wing, and I think this is going to lead to Consortium Star Viper ambush with ECL, take out the A-Wing, heal the 1 damage from Mikolaj's base, and put him really in a winning position. Yep, exactly. Or no, it's not. He actually goes for the. I was gonna say exactly right, but he actually opts to use the Seventh Fleet Defender here. And I'm just gonna pause for a minute to highlight a nice little trick that Mikolaj used. So ambush and shielded have the same timing. You can choose to resolve ambush before or after you resolve shielded. So in this case, Mikolaj plays his Seventh Fleet Defender using the ambush from Energy Conversion Lab, and only then puts a shield on the Seventh Fleet Defender after the ambush has been resolved. This allows it to attack into the A-Wing, taking only 1 damage in return, and then end up being essentially a 3-1 shielded instead of a 3-2, which is great value because it means that now it can take out another Rebel fighter without being defeated. I do think that the Consortium Star Viper would probably have been a better option in this scenario, but the defender having that shield is certainly nice to have, and Mikolaj is quite ahead at this point. Let's see how Piotrek responds. And there's cards there. The problem is any small ground unit he plays could potentially die to Greedo. Some would die outright, and some would die if Mikolaj hits the top deck with Greedo, while any small space unit he plays can be taken out by that defender. So this is a really negative spot. Ooh. And all he has is a Battlefield Marine, so Mikolaj gets an easy trade. Not at all where you want to be wow, and then another Greedo from hand. This is an incredibly bad start for our Rebel player. I don't think like necessarily his fault per se, but things have just gone very wrong. Um and Looking at his hand, he drew a red three and drew a. So he drew a red three and he drew a wing leader, I think there. Resourced the red three because it's not safe with that defender in play. This turn he will get to deploy Sabine at least, but he's gonna really need some good luck or circumstances to get back in this game. Wow, and then the Consortium Star Viper hitting the field as well. That is providing a restore threat in space. Perhaps a bit excessive at this time, but maybe that's the best unit that Mikolaj has. Piotrek plays K2. So there's a risk here. If there's a shoot first, that Greedo could just kill K2 outright. And even if he doesn't have shoot first, he could swing into K2 and defeat K2 if he gets his top deck. Mikolaj attacks the base with the 7th Fleet Defender, inflicting 3 damage. Now 5 damage taken. Wow. So when Piotrek deploys Sabine, Greedo attacks into Sabine, hits the top deck, and defeats her immediately. So lucky situation there with the top deck. Usually the odds to hit that are depending on your density, it ends up usually being something like 20 to 30%, maybe 40% on the high end. So kind of an unlikely but useful thing when it comes up, and in that case, allowing Mikolaj to shut down Sabine. Piotrek with a Fleet Lieutenant swinging K2SO into the base for 6 damage. Um, now 8 damage inflicted now 8 damage inflicted there by Piotrek and 5 by Mikolaj. However, Bosk arrives, taking out K2. Hmm. Did Piotrek use his energy conversion lab? There's a marker on it, but I don't recall it being. Maybe that marker is supposed to be on Sabine, or maybe I just like totally missed something. I'm not sure. Sabine's ability for 1 to each base. Initiative taken. Boba, wow, yeah, 6 damage to base there. Boba can either do 4 more to base the or can clear the Fleet Lieutenant. Clears the Fleet Lieutenant, which I think is more prudent. You want to be the control in this matchup as Boba and limit the Sabine player's options. Wow. And a seasoned shore trooper hits the field there with the resources gained. Not a very desirable situation, I feel, for Piotrek. In fact, he's very far behind, and this game is basically over. But we'll see if he can maybe make something happen. I'm honestly not sure what it would be, though. I think Mikolaj has lethal this turn. Yeah, Battlefield Marine is not going to do it. Bosk swings in 4 to base, so we've now only 9 HP left, and yeah, there's lethal on the board. He plays a wing leader and buffs his Marine, but it's too little too late. And Mikolaj sees that he has lethal and is going for it. Oh, and looks like Piotrek is going to scoop rather than make Mikolaj play out all the attacks. So that was a tough loss there for our Sabine player in the first round. Mikolaj does have the main deck Consortium Star Viper, which is a bit of an interesting move, kind of a pre-sideboard against aggro, since the Consortium Star Viper is a very poor card under normal circumstances, but works very well specifically against the small fighters that these rebel aggro builds tend to run. Both players now sideboarding. It looks like Piotrek has a copy of Bright Hope in the sideboard at least, but I'm not sure exactly what he's going to be going for. Mikolaj has finished sideboarding early and is doing a 3-pile shuffle here. Piotrek looking through his deck again, maybe trying to be sure of his sideboard. He needs to win 2 in a row to win this match in round 3 of Super Showdown Poznan. And if I were him, I'd be probably looking to cut red 3 in this situation. Looks like he was maybe removing some X-Wings as well. Not entirely sure what he's bringing in, but against a deck that has both the Star Vipers and the 7th Fleet Defenders, where you have ECL as your base as the Rebel player, you don't really have you don't really have a credible game in space. It's not really something that's going to happen. So he's got to figure out a different game plan and maybe sideboard into a stronger ground presence. So let's see if Piotrek can get the win here. Now, I note that I said if ECL is your base, I'm going to have another video discussing this in more detail. I currently think that if you want to play Rebels and have space aggro be open in the current environment, you need to be running Tarkin Town as your base. And I think so that means you're either double red Sabine or you're running aggro out of Leia, Han, Chirrut, some non-Sabine leader. because I think that the ECL Consortium Star Viper combo is just too strong against the small rebel ships, and you need to have, if you want to be able to do aggro in space, you need to have an answer to that. And right now, I think the best answer to that is Tarkentown. There are some other situations. So, for instance, if you lead off with A-Wing while you're going first, the opponent plays a probe droid or something, you play Wing Leader and buff your A-Wing, you're out of range of the Star Viper. But I think that in general, the best solution is just having Tarkentown as your base. That's the least susceptible to counterplay. So Piotrek leads with a Battlefield Marine. Mikolaj leads with Greedo. It looked like Piotrek was considering using Sabine's ability, but wisely opted not to. In this situation, if he uses Sabine's ability, Mikolaj can claim the initiative and then use, I said claim like a Destiny player, he can take the initiative and can use Greedo to clear the battlefield Marine before it attacks, which is something that, as the Rebel player, you really don't want to allow to have happen. So, ooh, ECL. Oh, wow. Okay, Piotrek activates ECL and defeats Greedo with. Whoa. Oh, what a misplay. So he activated ECL to bring in Sabine Wren, but for some reason he had her on-attack ability hit the base instead of using the on-attack ability to kill Greedo and leave Sabine on the field and undamaged. And then Mikolaj hits the top deck, then plays a resupply. I think this would have gone way better for Piotrek if he had used the on-attack ability to deal 1 damage to Greedo and defeat him before the attack resolves, thus saving Sabine Wren Explosives Artist on the field as a unit that would then have 0 or 2 damage on it. It would be just a much stronger overall state than having Sabine die but doing 1 damage to the opponent's base. So I think that was a major error at this point. I was actually thinking that he did that ambush specifically so that he could take out Greedo without losing a unit himself. But unfortunately, I think his choice there was weaker. And I also want to say, this game has only been out for like a week or two. I don't mean any disrespect to the players if I have negative commentary on a play. That's not meant as a personal attack or insult or anything like that. I think that the game is very new. People can also definitely be stressed at a tournament or similar and make suboptimal decisions. But I think that in that case, that was a much weaker way to play it than it would have been if he had used the on attack ability to defeat Greedo. So we do see ECL ambush super laser tech clears out that damaged battlefield marine after the Greedo top deck. Uh, Mikolaj has had some lucky top decks this game or this match. I think he's 2 for 2 on Greedo. Um, but do you think Piotrek would arguably still be ahead if he had played that Sabine explosives artist differently? Wow, and Sabine swings into Boba, takes Boba down to 1 life, but he takes 4, deals 1 damage to the opponent's base, I guess. I think I would have preferred to just go for the base here, but I'm not sure. Maybe he has some follow-up play that's going to make a little more sense. I'm not entirely confident. Um, in general, I would consider it very much not worth it to take an unfavorable attack into Boba like that. It looks like they're discussing something. The on attack ability. Yeah, maybe he thought that Sabine Leader has the same on attack ability as Sabine Unit, in which case that would allow him to defeat Boba Fett, but that was not the case. Not entirely sure. Yeah, it looks like they were discussing something. This match unfortunately didn't have audio, and if it did have audio, it would perhaps be in Polish, which I don't speak, so that's not super helpful. But after their discussion, it ends up being 1 damage on the base from Sabine's ability. Consortium Star Viper played, Piotrek takes the initiative. I think maybe he did think that I think perhaps he did think that his attack would defeat Boba there, which is not correct and is very unfortunate. But yeah, because it looks like he has a Rebel Assault in hand, which he could have played to actually get the kill there. So I think maybe he misunderstood the situation. It is kind of confusing that Sabine the unit and Sabine the leader have very similar abilities, except that Sabine the unit can choose to hit the defender or the base, while Sabine the leader has to hit the base only. I sort of wonder if they actually had the same ability earlier in testing, but it got changed because if Sabine leader had the unit version of the ability, she would be too strong. That is total speculation. I don't know if it's true, but it seems like the type of thing that might happen during a game's development. Okay, so Piotrek trades Sabine for Boba. That should do 1 damage to base, but the trigger may have been missed there. No, there we go. Uh, Steadfast Battalion now hits the field, um, but without a leader to buff it, it's basically just bad ATST in this situation. Piotrek plays for a cause I believe in, hitting one, two, three, four. So that's going to be 4 damage to Mikolaj's base. But the cards that he sees from it are not especially strong. I would probably discard everything or maybe keep K2 and discard everything else. Those are just not the cards that you want to have. It looks like he discards the Pathfinder, but he's going to keep the others. I don't know that that's how I would have played that. I don't think that the red three and the Fleet Lieutenant are very helpful here because you're so behind on board. This one's looking like a win for Mikolaj, but we'll have to see what happens. Brings out an A-Wing after the Star Viper's already attacked, but Mikolaj just takes the initiative, and now his first action can just be a pretty easy swing in with the Star Viper, kill the A-Wing, repair the base for 2. And yeah, I mean, I think Mikolaj is in an extremely winning position at this point, and I'm not entirely sure what would reverse the scenario. I think Piotrek's uh, main thing that could save him would be like chaining for a cause or something, but with the healing from that Star Viper now in effect, I'm not sure that even that would work. And he is himself on a clock now with the Steadfast Battalion may be a bad ATST in this situation, but a bad ATST is still pretty good. Plays out the K2 that he drew. Steadfast Battalion can just defeat this, though, and little downside to doing so. Goes for a shoot first, so he doesn't even take damage on his Steadfast Battalion. And I think this one is going to be a 2-0 for Mikolaj, but we'll see whether or not Piotrek can make an awesome comeback. Goes for I think the 3 damage to base there from K2's ability. So he is at least doing more damage to his opponent's base, but the board state is so unfavorable and Mikolaj hasn't even spent resources yet. Ooh, and it's Fet's Fire Spray. Yeah. Piotrek takes the initiative, but takes another 5 damage from Fet's Fire Spray. Now down to 13 HP on base, I believe, with 12 damage taken and insult to injury. Mikolaj plays a Greedo. So I think he already had lethal. He already had lethal this turn, but now he has even more lethal. And I don't see a way for Piotrek to do the 12 damage that he needs in order to get the win here. Um, yeah, he has it for a cause, so that's, if he gets lucky, that's 4 damage. Actually, it might not even be gets lucky. His deck probably has a high density of heroic cards, so that is a 4 for 4. In this situation, though, the game is basically over because Mikolaj has lethal on board. Um, however, has Piotrek has at least dropped his opponent down to, I think, 7 HP remaining after this Sabine activation. So he at least got kind of close, but it's not going to be his win. And we indeed see ooh, yeah, that's so brutal. Fleet Lieutenant with no unit to buff. And once again, though, Mikolaj is, I don't think, distracted by by these plays. He sees the path to victory and just goes for lethal. And there's the win for Mikolaj and the handshake. So tough match there for Piotrek. I think that in game 2, there were 2 big misplays that really hurt him. The first one was ambushing Greedo and using Sabine's ability to hit the base instead of to hit Greedo. If Piotrek um, if Piotrek had used Sabine's ability to defeat Greedo instead, he would have been in a much better board position. I'm not sure what this is. I guess these are the people running the stream or whatever. The match is over anyway, so we'll back that up a bit. But yeah, ultimately this is 2-1, 2-0 to Mikolaj, and yeah, I think that Piotrek, if he had used the on-attack ability to defeat Greedo without taking damage, rather than doing 1 damage to base but trading Sabine, he would have been in a much better spot. And then later, I think when he attacked Sabine into Boba, I think that was either a misunderstanding or just some kind of major error. If that attack had defeated Boba immediately, it might have been reasonable, but given that it didn't, I think it was quite disadvantageous, and going for the base would have been a lot better. Um, that's just my opinion, of course, and I could be wrong, but yeah, overall, I think a matchup that Definitely, I think a matchup that favors the Boba player in terms of mid range versus aggro, especially when you have the Consortium Star Vipers main decked, and it was I think a matchup that favored the Boba player, and I think he played it well. So kudos to Mikolaj, and congratulations on the 2-0 win here in round three of Super Showdown Poznan. All right, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks to you all for watching. We'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content, hopefully with better lighting and mic setup than I have for this video. But I figured I would rather record a video today than yeah, I would rather record a video today and get this content out. I know a lot of people have been interested in seeing these Super Showdown Poznan games. So thanks to you all for watching. We'll be back later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content, and I will catch you guys later.